He said that if he didn't give her all of his money, she was going to claim he sexually assaulted her. She claimed that yes, he kidnapped me and tried to assault me by gunpoint. When investigators discovered the actual truth, they were in utter disbelief. They thought what they saw had to be some kind of sick roleplay, but unfortunately, what they found was all too real and would lead down a rabbit hole to one of the worst crimes and perhaps one of the worst serial killers in the United States. You are now within minutes of horror, and if you like true crime told in minutes without all the fluff, hit that subscribe button. Let's continue on with the story. On May 21st, 2019, Abby Pimentel's car ended up breaking down in Interstate 24 on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. Out of gas, she stood outside her car feeling like a sitting duck because her cell phone was dead as well. All of a sudden, pulling up behind her is an elderly truck driver, 62-year-old Roy Nellsch from Logan, Alabama. Peeking his head out and asking from his truck window if Abby needed help, she proceeds to walk up to his truck and tells him, "Yes, I do." He tells her to hop into his truck and he will take her to the nearest exit where she can get further assistance for her car. As they are driving, they make small talk, but Abby notices that Roy is missing exits. Now she knows she's in trouble, as she asks him, "Why did you not get off at the exit?" and he just stays quiet. With a dead stare, he pulls over to the side of the road. Thinking he is going to let her out, she grabs her purse and Abby says thank you, but as she is doing so, she is looking directly into the barrel of a gun. As Roy tells her to get into the back of the truck, "Now I'm going to have my way with you, sexually." As they both walk back into the sleeper part of the truck, Abby thinks to herself, unless she fights back, she is a dead woman either way, turns around and begins to wrestle Roy for the gun, actually getting the upper hand. Taking the gun away from him, she points it back at Roy, who then proceeds to step back with his hands in the air, asking her not to shoot. She pulls the trigger, and to her shock and horror, the gun does not fire. The gun actually has no bullets in it.
I already know I'm probably gonna die, so I'm not gonna go down without a fight.
He started hitting me and beat me. I jumped back.
We're wrestling for this gun, and he's on top of me, and I have the gun pointed at his face now. I'm on the bottom, he's on the top, and I have the gun pointed at his face, and I pull the trigger, and nothing happened.
Roy reaches into his coat pocket, pulls out a second gun, and bashes Abby over the head with the gun. She falls to the ground dazed and bleeding profusely. Right then and there, the fight was over. Nellsch then handcuffs Abby, places a blanket over her, and tries to tend to her wound with a paper towel.
I think you're being completely truthful.
I could understand why you would say that, because I've been running back through my mind over and over and over. And I see 1,000 mistakes I made, but I can't change a damn one of them.
The biggest problem in that version was handcuffs.
Yeah, probably are. They probably are.
Nobody handcuffs somebody they're trying to get rid of. You handcuff to keep somebody.
As he was tending to her wound, she asked him 3 questions.
Are you gonna kill me? He said, no, I'm just gonna rape you. I said, how long are you gonna keep me for? He said, a few days. I said, are you taking me somewhere scary? And that's the only thing that I could think of to ask, because I kept thinking of those scary movies going through my head, you know, and he's gonna have me in some cage and with all these knives or something and torturing me or something. Like, I kept thinking that way. And he said, no, you're gonna stay in the truck with me. I'm just taking you somewhere isolated.
Abby says that Roy then lifts up her dress, but soon then leaves her in the sleeper and went back to driving. As she laid there handcuffed, Abby would then begin to think about her children and how this man has no right to take her away from her children, starts to build adrenaline, and desperately works her way out the handcuffs. As Roy is driving the truck, he hears a scream and then a blanket gets wrapped around his head. Abby starts to pull the blanket back. Roy cannot see and he's swerving his semi-truck all over the road. As Abby continues to strangle Roy with the blanket, he accelerates his truck. In fears of causing a major accident, she lets go of the blanket, but continues to beat Roy savagely with one hand as she holds onto the steering wheel, trying to tip the truck over away from traffic. Fed up, Abby then puts Roy in a headlock, gripping his neck tightly around her arms, and he begs her to let him go, that he will stop the truck and open the door. As he stops and opens the door, he eerily says to her, "I didn't expect you to put up a fight. No one has ever put up a fight." This is when she thinks to herself, has he done this before? Soon as the door of the semi opens, she lets Roy go, jumps out the semi, and starts running down the highway screaming for help. With only one shoe on and half a dress, Roy proceeds to drive away in his semi-truck. Abby eventually flags down help, who then proceeds to contact police. Roy Nellsch would make his way a short time later to Springfield, Tennessee, where his truck was spotted. Police pull him over and proceed to arrest him.
10-4, still heading towards Springfield. He is possibly armed. I just haven't tried to stop him yet. I just wanted more backup units. Hey, man. Hey, keep your hands up for me. All right, turn around. Turn around. Right now, you're just being detained. That girl's crazy. Yeah, apparently she's crazy enough to get you in some trouble. Yeah, she got me in some serious trouble.
On May 22, 2019, a 5-hour interrogation took place with police where Roy stated that the crime played out differently, that he was the victim, and Abby, upon getting into his truck, said to him, "Give me money and drive me to an exit, or I will tell authorities you assaulted me," that this is when a fight broke out.
Roy, my name's Dennis. I'm one of the detectives here.
While it was happening, I was already working. He was taken into custody. He was brought back to our office. Well, I spent some time with Ms. Pimentel first and got her version of events. I did sit down that afternoon or early that evening with Mr. Nellsch.
Your name is Roy, correct?
I'm sorry?
Your name is Roy, sir?
Roy, yeah.
I know there's a lot going on.
Yeah. How serious is it?
Well, and that's what I don't know. If you're willing to tell me what happened, I'm all ears.
She looked like she was, desperate, needing help. I'll take you to get some gas. She said, pull over. Well, there's nothing here. She gets back and said, I want to make a deal for you for some gas money. She said, give me your money. What? She said, give me your money, I'm going to tell you to rape me. She said, give me your wallet or give me your money.
Mr. Nellsch gave me a story that mirrored all the facts of Ms. Pimentel's. Different reason for him.
He tried to make up some story about how he was citizen arresting me because I was trying to rob him.
The question is, who's telling the truth?
As the interrogation was happening, a search of Roy Nellsch's truck by investigators was taking place. To the shock and horror of investigators, they found over 100 bloody garments worn by women, sex toys, a stun gun, bloody rope, a ledger of over 49 pages filled with the names, ages, and locations of many women, and a laptop with over 10,000 illegal sexual images and videos of children.
I thought he was a serial killer.
Investigators stated that there were so many bloody garments, bloody panties, and bloody bras that Roy Nellsch's truck smelled like death. Now I want you to understand something. Roy Nellsch has been driving his truck since the 70s, and the articles of clothing that investigators found look like it came from different time periods, meaning investigators believe that Roy Nellsch has been killing women since the 70s, if not before. And these suspicions would be confirmed when forensics did a DNA test on each article of clothing, and each article of clothing had different DNA from different women. Investigators believe Roy would pick up over 100 different women, brutally sexually assault and kill them, and then take their clothing, hiding them in the cab of his truck. Roy Nellsch would ultimately be charged with kidnapping and possession and transportation of illegal sexual images of children.
That was the piece of evidence that chilled me the most.
Do we know if any of those people are missing people?
I can say that it's something that the TBI continues to investigate. I think that the evidence suggests that there were other victims.
A raid was conducted on Roy's Alabama home, where investigators and FBI would call his house a house of horrors. That they would find more bloody instruments and more bloody garments, and what they found made them believe that Roy Nellsch was America's worst serial killer. Now, what investigators and FBI found outside of the bloody garments we don't know, because the case was headed to federal trial as of May 25th, 2022. But investigators did state to news that Roy Nellsch's home did have multiple bags filled with bloody clothing from multiple different women. But before Roy Nellsch would face trial with all the evidence laid out, he would actually die of pneumonia in his federal prison cell on March 9th, 2022, ultimately taking all his dark secrets with him to the grave. Thank you so much for watching. I will be creating more true crime videos, so if you like this channel and want to see more, please subscribe and then hit that notification button. Once again, thank you so much for your support.